Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to welcome you to our cooking conversation today. We have some delicious stories to share, and I can't wait to dive into my experience with parsnips. Let's get started. So, there was this one cooking episode where I was preparing a hearty winter stew that required parsnips. I was all set to create this comforting dish for a community gathering, and as I was gathering my ingredients, I realized there was a shortage of parsnips. It was quite a surprise, especially since they add such a lovely sweetness and depth to the stew. Parsnips are these wonderful root vegetables that look like pale carrots but have a unique, sweet flavor. They stand out because of their versatility. You can roast them, mash them, or even use them in soups. In New York, we love using parsnips in dishes like creamy parsnip soup or roasted parsnips with herbs. They're particularly popular in fall and winter months when they're at their peak. When I faced the shortage, I had to think outside the box. Instead of just substituting with carrots, I decided to create a new dish altogether. I used a blend of sweet potatoes and turnips to mimic the sweetness of parsnips. The result was a vibrant, flavorful stew that everyone loved. People were pleasantly surprised by the twist, and it sparked some great conversations at the gathering.
That sounds amazing, Chloe. I love how you turned a challenge into an opportunity. What inspired you to use sweet potatoes and turnips instead?
Thank you, Sarah. I thought about the sweetness and texture of parsnips and realized that sweet potatoes and turnips could provide a similar profile while adding their own unique flavors.
I am impressed by your creativity, Chloe. How did your community react to the new dish?
They were really enthusiastic. Many people said they enjoyed the new flavors and appreciated the twist on a classic dish.
That's so inspiring, Chloe. I'm curious, did you find any other vegetables that worked well with your stew?
Yes, I added some kale for a bit of color and nutrition, which complemented the sweetness beautifully.
I love how you embraced the challenge, Chloe. What was the most surprising feedback you received?
Some people mentioned they preferred the new version over the original. It was heartwarming to hear that.
I'd like to start by saying that when purchasing parsnips, it's essential to look for firm, unblemished skin. I usually buy them in the fall for my roasted vegetable medley. Parsnips have a lovely sweetness, and I always make sure to avoid any that feel soft or have dark spots.
I completely agree, Sarah. I also look for parsnips with a smooth texture. In Texas, I often use them in my soups during the winter months. They should be creamy and tender when cooked, so it's crucial to choose the right ones. Watch out for any signs of sprouting.
Yes, and I'd like to add that size matters. I prefer medium-sized parsnips for my baking. In Washington, they are perfect for my parsnip cake. Larger ones can be woody and less flavorful, so I always check for that. I love that point, Emily. I also look for parsnips that are fresh and vibrant. In Florida, I use them in my food truck dishes, especially in my seasonal salads. Freshness is key, and I always avoid any that look wilted or discolored.
Those are all great points. I'd like to emphasize the importance of seasonal availability. In New York, I buy parsnips in the winter when they're at their best. They should be crisp and flavorful, so I always check for that. It's essential to be mindful of when they're in season to ensure the best taste.
While parsnips are fantastic, I often use sweet potatoes as an alternative. They're sweet and versatile, perfect for roasting or mashing. However, they have a different texture and flavor profile compared to parsnips, which I find unique.
I love sweet potatoes too, Sarah. In Texas, I sometimes use turnips as an alternative. They have a peppery flavor that can add a nice kick to dishes. However, they lack the sweetness of parsnips, which makes them less suitable for certain recipes.
I appreciate both of those alternatives. In Washington, I often use carrots as a substitute. They're readily available and can mimic the sweetness of parsnips, but they don't have the same depth of flavor, which is something I miss. Break points, everyone. In Florida, I sometimes use butternut squash. It has a lovely sweetness and creamy texture, but it doesn't have the same earthy flavor as parsnips, which is what makes them special.
Wow, What an inspiring conversation we've had today. We discussed the importance of parsnips, creative solutions to shortages, and the various alternatives each of you suggested. Sarah highlighted the significance of firmness. Jennifer emphasized smooth texture. Emily pointed out size. Maya focused on freshness. And I discussed seasonal availability. I'm so grateful for all your contributions and ideas. Thank you all for joining us today. It's been a pleasure sharing our thoughts on parsnips and exploring new ideas together. I encourage everyone to try out these suggestions and experiment with parsnips in your cooking. Until next time, take care and happy cooking.